Okay, good evening, everyone. To our Tuesday, May 2nd, Nipissing Township Council meeting. We have the amended agenda. The start time is 6:30. And I'll ask if there's any disclosure of pecuniary interest.
Yes, number 10, please.
Okay, on resolution 10, and that's Councillor Foote. Thank you. Now, without further ado, I will welcome our guest for this evening, and it's Scott Gardner from the Near North Palliative Care Network, Hospice Coordinator, and going to talk to us about organization services provided. So I'm just going to move a little this way, and the floor is yours, Scott.
Thank you very much. First off, thank you to everyone for allowing me the opportunity to speak in front of you tonight. As mentioned, my name is Scott Gardner. I'm the hospice coordinator at the Near North Palliative Care Network. We're located out of North Bay. We're at the St. Joseph's Mother House. That's where our offices are. We are the volunteer visiting hospice for the Nipissing and East Parry Sound region. So our catchment area stretches from Novar, east to Mattawa, west to past Sturgeon Falls, and then north up as far as about Temagami. Our volunteers allow us to offer services such as palliative support, grief and bereavement support. We also offer caregiver respite. We run adult day programs such as we've recently had yoga, we've had art workshops, we've had music therapy. We offer all kinds of different services for seniors, as well as those dealing with chronic and end-of-life illnesses. All of our services are free of charge because we are all completely volunteer-based. So one of the things that we get confused with sometimes is people will come up to me when we're out and say, oh, I had a relative or so that was in your hospice. And they always mean Serenity Hospice, which is the residential hospice in North Bay. We are the visiting hospice. So our volunteers go out into the communities that we serve to offer the kind of support services that I mentioned earlier. So for example, if someone has a loved one that is dealing with some medical issues, our volunteers will go in and maybe do light housekeeping for them, maybe some meal prep, maybe some laundry. And oftentimes it's just friendly visits, just sitting with someone for an hour, couple of hours, just to give the caregiver a little bit of time to do the things that they need to do in their own lives and just have a little bit of a rest as well. As I mentioned, our services are all completely free of charge. And we have a great group of volunteers who receive a lot of very good training from us in order to provide those services that we offer. So I'm going to share some statistics with you about the current and worsening crisis in palliative care, not just in our region, but across Canada as well. So by 2050, there are going to be 9.6 million baby boomers in Canada that will have or will require end-of-life services. By 2046, 1 in 5 Ontarians will be aged 85 plus, which translates to about 4.6 million people over the next 20, 30 years or so. Contrast that to the fact that there are 491 hospice beds in the province and 4,000 hospital palliative care beds in the province, totaling about 4,500 in total. My executive director, Monica, has a saying that she likes to say when she gives those numbers, do the math. 4.6 million divided by 4,500 beds, the math just doesn't work. So how can we help to at least stem the tide of this crisis a little bit? At Near North Palliative Care Network, we want to make our training available to anyone and everyone that is interested in taking it completely free of charge. Why do we want to do that? Because we want to ensure that as these numbers increase and as our population continues to age, that we have a group of trained volunteers in our communities that are ready to help when and where they're needed. So for example, if someone has a neighbor that is aging, going through an end of life illness, or a relative or a friend, they can pitch in where needed. We're hoping to build, if you will, an army of volunteers that are ready in all of our communities here in this region that are ready to go when needed. This will allow the person in question, the loved one, the family friend, to stay at home as long as possible and to potentially end their life at home, which, let's be honest, that's what most of us would prefer rather than being in a hospital, a hospice, or another facility. This also benefits the primary caregivers, because primary caregivers, it's often a son, a daughter of the loved one, the family member, and they end up experiencing immense levels of stress, burnout, physical and mental illnesses of their own because of the 24/7 job that they have of taking care of their loved one. They often lose their social circle. They often have to step back from their jobs. They often lose their relationships because of the amount of stress and the amount of time that taking care of a loved one entails. Finally, this will also benefit our healthcare system, as it is proven that visiting hospice services such as ours reduces the number of emergency room visits. It reduces overnight stays in the hospital, which helps obviously with the bed space as well as with the cost to have those beds occupied. So there are many benefits to the type of services that we offer. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to network with leaders of our communities, all of our communities in our catchment area, to advocate for the services and the training that we provide, as well as the volunteer opportunities that we provide, so that we can build that army of volunteers that are ready to go whenever needed, whenever their neighbor needs a hand with whatever they need help with. It's our hope that we can keep a dialogue going with you, the leaders of this community, to discuss ways that we can bring this issue to the forefront, as well as the services and the volunteer and training opportunities that we have available, whether that be on your social media, at events, wherever it may be. We would love to be working closely with you, the leaders of this community. And we want anyone that is interested in being part of a team whose very mission it is to see that everyone lives and dies with dignity and comfort and all the support that they need and that they deserve. So again, thank you for letting me speak in front of you today. I'd be happy to take any questions.
I guess my first question, you said your office is at St. Joe's Mother House.
Yes.
Is that where the entire, is everything else there too? Like if you're doing yoga or something?
That varies. We do some of our events and programs at the Mother House, but we also do them out in our communities as well.
Are there any other questions?
I was thinking at our museum event, would you want to attend and hand out literature or have people?
Absolutely.
Because that's when the community's going to.
Yeah, anytime that the community, that's great,
Yeah.
because anytime the community comes together, if you had some sort of a handout, because like you say, you're gonna need an army of people. It'd be
Yes.
nice to have an army for a good cause. than
Yes,
the other causes
absolutely.
we have.
Yeah, any events that we can take part in, such as that, just to get out and get visible in the community, because a lot of what I hear when I speak to councils or members of the public is, oh, I didn't know you guys were even there.
Yeah.
Or, oh, we thought you were a Serenity Hospice. So yes, anything that we can do in that way to get our visibility raised would be
There'd
terrific.
be older people there too that have time to volunteer.
Yeah.
For them. Or anything.
No, the irony of what you just said there, though, is most people think you're Serenity Hospice. until you stood up there and told me, that's what I thought you were
Exactly.
also.
Yeah,
You
and
know.
that's not new. That's not new. So, you know, we were out just the last few days selling 50/50 raffle tickets in the mall, Northgate. And I'd have people come up and say, like I said, oh, I had my relative was in your hospice. You almost don't have the heart to say, oh, that's not us, but thank you. And so, yeah, anything that we can, the great thing about it is that the cost to us to provide our services is pretty low because it is all volunteer based. And again, even if people don't want to become our official volunteer, we still want people to get that training. Just so that, as I said, that they're armed with the knowledge to help. And we have 3 core trainings. We have our grief and bereavement support training. We have something called NAV Care training, which is more for, it's for caregivers and volunteers, just so that they can help access the services that their client or loved one may need. That's another thing that we hear a lot is like, oh, I didn't even know such this, or I don't know where to find this for my mother, or, so we help do that. And the NAV Care training helps people navigate that aspect of it. And then we also have our HPCO training, which is Hospice Palliative Care Ontario, which is more about actual providing of palliative support to clients. So there's 3 core trainings. And again, we want anyone that is interested, we encourage to take the training.
Well, I don't think, I'm sure that the community would, if we have, and we will have events, and we'll get information from you regarding the events, whether if anybody can come, and if not, if there's something that we could hand out, we'd have people that could definitely do that. And I know if we ever did a training session, I'm sure that we have the space here and we could work out a time and anything like that.
That's
to
great.
supply
Yeah,
this
that would be
building.
great because we had to give up our in-person training because of COVID, obviously. So it all went online. All of our training is currently online. We're looking to get back into some in-person training as well. And if municipalities such as yours can provide space for that training, that would be fantastic as well. That's a little bit down the road now, but it's getting closer.
Okay, any other questions? Well, Scott, I appreciate, and I know council does as well, your presentation, and you did open our eyes, as Councillor Kirky said. Everybody immediately thinks of Serenity and the Smile Cookie campaign going on right now, so you've cleared that up, and you know, a viable, you know, something that can be done in the meantime before we are actually in a hospice. So I thank you on behalf of council, and I think we have all your information.
Yes, we do.
Got the nod for that. So when we're going to do our festivals, our, you know, community events, we'll be in touch with you and, you know, try to make arrangements for either handouts or somebody in person, if that's possible.
That's fantastic. Okay, thank you once again for the opportunity.
Thank you very much for coming, and
Thanks for coming out.
great seeing you in person. That's even
Yes,
better than on the screen.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Would you like me to put the,
No, you leave it
Okay.
right there.
thank you.
Watch
Thank
your
you.
deer on the way back.
Will do.
Okay, good ideas, and you're right, you know, anything, especially museum, you know, you draw it.
I'm thinking museum, library. I'm not sure about rec committee,
Can't
but
hurt.
some venue
Can't hurt.
or some situation where we could probably use this.
Yep.
Or the command hall, might be able to spread it to our counterparts in the other communities if we could.
We
You
can
know.
bring that up to Mr. Phillips next time at our next rec meeting.
Yeah.
Just if there would be an interest there, because you know how, what he said about, you know, their clientele, so hospice services would be, you know, something they could discuss.
No.
They're really struggling with aged clientele and aged volunteers.
Where?
Yeah, Commander.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I was out at the spring dance. And yeah, that was the big thing. Tom put a pretty good speech, Tom Marchant,
Mhm.
Right.
and partway through it, asking for volunteers, because they are aged. They're actually all older than me.
No.
Yeah, okay, now start getting sad about end of life. We'll move on to committee reports. And we'll start with Counselor Yem.
I do have one. At our last museum meeting, we discussed working on a strategic plan. There is a strategic plan, but it needs to be improved and updated. And the same with the mission statement. So that's going to be our priorities. We talked about the display at the Powassan Library again, which we are going to work on and
Mhm.
try and get something done as well as the Nipissing Russell Road, which will be next month. Once the museums are up and running, but we are going to try and get something as well. Cataloging procedures. Chris had a nice copy for everybody of what's been done, but what she's pressing on, and we all are, is let's just do it one way from now on, and then it's properly done and anybody can look after or help look after it after that. Will took Randy Randy Lockhart is going to look after the cleaning, so Will had him over there just to go over everything what needs to be done. And we also looked at maybe putting up some small library cabinets, command and museum, here and at the office, just for in the summer when people are out and about, that there'd be a book or something, they could bring a book, send one in, take a book. That's all I got.
Good. All good ideas. Any questions for Dave?
Not
Okay,
at all.
perfect. Well, we'll move on to Counselor Foot.
Awesome. We had rec committee last night. So lots of stuff going on. We're working on trying to come up with some kind of appreciation for our volunteers. And there's a few really good ideas and we asked for thoughts and we talked maybe about a thank you barbecue. Not to buy them something, but just to say thank you, whether it be a barbecue or reaching out to some of our local businesses or people and putting together a thank you bag for them. Some of these kids and these volunteers are the key to our success and they, you know, it's just that way to say thank you to them because they give up a lot of time. The other thing that came on and talked about was, can we, or would it be possible to give them a fitness membership? So some of our kids that are already currently working with us already have memberships for their fitness center, but could we or would we extend it for them? So it's all talks. We'll come back and we've asked people to think about it and come back at the next meeting and talk about it a little bit more, see what we can come up with. Teen dance scheduled now, pretty well set for July 21st. We're gonna have 4 volunteers at it. And what we're saying to enter the dance is gonna be a food bank donation to get in. We are not gonna do a DJ for it, we're just gonna do a playlist. So we currently have the music system and we're just gonna do a playlist and we'll take care of that, which will save some money. And I think it'll still be a good time. I'll ask the kids what they wanna hear. It'll be some fun. Bottle drive, we did Bear Creek only this week, $238.20. So we'll take care of the other landfill. If we have to do it sooner, we will. If not, we'll hold it. Will's gonna go take a look at it and see where we're at with it. The rain kind of held things up a little bit, so. Park benches, so we've been talking a lot about park benches and garbage cans for the parks and for the beaches. So the solution now is 55-gallon drums that we're gonna fix into a garbage can. So take the top off it, put a hole in the top.
Correct. So we'll have two, a garbage and recycling, one at the Ring Shack building, one at the park, and one at each landfill or beach, sorry.
Yeah. And it's economical because looking at trying to bring in garbage cans, huge expense. $2,000 plus, right? So this will give us some time to come up with something better future forward. And maybe we talk about what we're raising the money for, what the bottle drive money is for, and try and put it together some, because we also have to look for picnic tables and benches. So we need something for the park, because you're watching people just stand there and parents just stand there and watch the kids, and then they tend to want to pull their car closer so they can sit in the car. So if we can come up with something, that'd be great. Soccer, 103 kids registered for soccer, which is phenomenal. And Andrew and the team have done a great job already. Jerseys were ordered this morning. Teams have been set, everything's ready to go for them. So we still need volunteers though. We're still shy some volunteers, so a call's gonna be put out for volunteers, coaches, refs, and see what we can do as much as we can. Trivia, 38 people registered for trivia. So ready, set, go. It's ready to go and you've got it all under control. I think it'll be fun. It'll be really fun. I can't wait to see it. And I think that's the big thing. The only other thing is Commander Community Center. So we talked a little bit about that. They have their yard sale on June 20th. And they were talking about, he was talking about their spring dance, and there was a low attendance at the spring dance, and they're a little concerned. And again, it comes around to the aged population, and they're challenged with volunteers also. So they've got a call out to see if they can find some people, and people just don't want to go out. They're not getting out and moving. So they're also looking for some help. So, and we will try and work together with them and see what we can do. And that was the end, I think.
Yep.
That was it. It was fun.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
Yeah.
Trivia.
Mhm.
Do we have a team?
There's still a spot for.
There's still a spot for us.
So I'm gonna ask the question around the room. Counselors,
I'm not
your
around.
worship? No?
So I have a spot for 4.
I'm around.
I'm around.
I'm not.
Tom?
I'll still take a spot for 3.
I can do it.
Okay,
I'm not your best, but I'll be there.
hey, it's all right.
Okay.
So we have a team.
And I'll keep checking with you.
You can't call a friend.
No.
We have a team of 3.
You can bring your spouses if you'd like if you would like to.
Bonnie's not that much into trivia.
Oh, well, just say, just throw it out there.
It annoys her because that's me.
I'll ask.
Say no more.
I'll ask.
Um, and the fee is what, 20?
Yes.
I'll pay the team fee. I like
We can have a
trivia.
bottle drive, GoFundMe page.
$20.
I'll fund it.
Oh. Okay, I'll be there.
So-
We're a team.
What time is it?
Counselor Keating.
What time?
I don't know what time is that.
Oh,
7.
7.
7,
Yes.
trivia.
Oh,
7,
Saturday, right?
Saturday.
Garbage cans at the beaches, we always had them.
Yeah.
We generally took them away about the second week of July because they were full of household garbage every Monday morning.
So what we're gonna try again is we're gonna just cut a square hole in them. We're gonna try it, and if we have to, we'll pull it away again.
Yeah.
We're hoping that people might respect it a little more now and
Yeah.
try it again. That's all we can do. But if Public Works tells us that we're getting household garbage, we'll have to pull them.
Yeah,
So, small square hole, how are you gonna get?
The drums come off, so when we go to change the bags, we can just undo the thing, lift the lid, change the bag, put them back in.
Oh, I see.
There's a metal band on
Yeah.
on the lids.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, the metal, though, you're talking about the metal recovery drums?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I was wondering.
Yeah, we were worried about that too, but we're hoping,
For the recycling, we're just gonna take a hole saw and cut a couple holes in so you can put cans
And balls.
and then
Got
figure
a
it
small
out.
hole in the bottom for rain.
Yeah, we'll just drill some holes in the bottom, let the water out.
Can't
Okay,
hurt to try.
yeah,
Yep.
no,
can only try. Counselor Kurt.
Well, I have 2 reports. I guess I'll start with the North Bay Mattawa Source Protection. The authority by law has to submit an annual progress report under section 46 of the Clean Water Act to the Ministry of the Environment. So Conservation and Parks, that's Ministry of the Environment and Conservation and Parks. on their progress, implementation, source protection programs and policies. So the province has developed an online reporting database for several ministries with the numeric and writer responses for implementation. It can be viewed on the source protect, it can be viewed now by the source protection staff. So they can submit their reports directly to them now, which is, I guess, is a lot better than the old system where they could only do it once a year with a timeline, of course, and so everybody's scrambling. So now they can do it in real time. And as well, they've standardized the reporting system. So all agencies, I think there's 44. I think there's 44 source protection organizations in the province. So they can, it's all standard form now, so they can all do it the same way. So also a resolution was passed to accept the annual draft report being sent to the ministry. So this will be the last year that the report is sent in as one piece. 100% of the municipalities in our source protection area have fully implemented the land use planning policies into their official plan and their zoning bylaws. And all the 27 legally binding policies addressing significant threats to our source waters have been implemented. So septic inspections, 2 septic systems within a municipal wellhead area have been inspected again this year. There's 2 septic systems in Silk River that are within that boundary zone around this, because they have a well. They're within that area, so they have to be, they're inspected regularly for that. And Calendar has 545 septic systems in the contributing area. And there's a concern for potential release of phosphorus, which is suspect in the growth of cyanobacteria, blue-green algae. And that'll be undertaken. 110 of them were done in 2022, with the expectation is to do 110 every year until all are inspected. In 2022, there were 4 pesticide permits issued in the North Bay Mattawa source protection area. All were permitted pending threat management through conditions on the permits, same way we do for. And these were all for it's usually highways. All 5 municipalities with drinking water systems have installed road signage at the boundaries of vulnerable areas, indicating that what that area is. And I also took an opportunity to sit in on the regular meeting while I was already there. And it was pretty interesting too. They did the source water first this time around, and then they did the regular meeting after. And so a good many of us sat in on the regular meeting as well. So we learned quite a bit. That's it for that one. The next one will be in 3 months. Library report, April 24th. So they're still working on paring down the strategic plan because it was this thick. We're going to try and pare it down to something that's manageable. We made the decision to go with co-op insurance. We have until the beginning of June to decide what package of the 4 were presented. So they have different attributes to each package that they presented to us, and we just have to decide which one is most viable for our group. Still waiting for the results on the Young Canada Works application. Now, they said we should get that one. There's 2 different ones here. And the other one is Canada Summer Jobs. So the Young Canada Works, in principle, we've got that one. But Canada Summer Jobs, they've cut the funding in half. So we've basically been told we're not getting that one. The seniors grant was denied, referencing a missing document that and they wouldn't say which one it was. Federal government. So seniors busing from Meadowview and the Pines is off. The library agreement with the with the municipalities. We will be revisiting it this year. It's revisited every 4 years. Am I correct?
I don't know.
Okay, that was the understanding that I got, that it's revisited every 4 years. I think every time a new council comes in, we revisit it. So that will be coming down the pipes this year. And the Maple Syrup Festival, the library served taffy in front of the bank, and it was donated by Bella Hill. So a shout out to Nipissing's very own award-winning Bella Hill maple syrup for that. Remote libraries, that's what you were talking about, the little libraries. So we brought that up too. And I kept calling it remote libraries, referencing it because I couldn't remember what we actually call it, which they called it little libraries. So, which were originally called little libraries, but I couldn't remember it, so I called it the former. And in my presentation, and after some discussion about the location, specifically in Nipissing, Chisholm, and possibly Commanda, it was decided to call them remote libraries. The plan is to have a miniature library on a stand where people can just come out and get a book. They can replace it with a book if they want or not. It's supposed to fit in that niche where possibly a tourist or anyone in the area looking for something to read, possibly because of their personal electronic device is dead, or the reception isn't of good quality, or someone who just likes to read. We're looking for volunteers to do the building, and yesterday while at the museum, we may have found most, if not all, of the building materials from crates from donations. So the crate from the Moore donations.
Right.
So we kept that because we don't throw anything out. 'Cause that's
You don't.
it's our generation. So it may come into good use. There might be enough to do 2 libraries there.
Nice.
Okay. And I may have enough exterior paint at home to do them. Although they may look like an MNR district office because most of the paint I have is either green or white. Fundraiser, we have confirmation and the date for an evening with Lisa LaFlamme. So save the date, September 23rd. And time and venue are not carved in stone yet, but probably the Trout Creek Community Center. And we'll probably know after the next meeting. And that's all I have for now.
Good. That's good. Okay, any questions, Councillor Kirky? So, Councillor Butler?
Nothing this time.
Okay, just a couple of things. I was at the Maple Syrup Festival. I always call it the SAP Festival because it's a lot quicker. In the pancake throwing contest, and I lost. The winner, who will not be back next year because he was filling in for the mayor, I guess he was a ringer, was Nunzio Scarfoni.
Yep.
And from Chisholm, and second was Tony Rima from CTV News North Bay. And I was a distant third with only 1 pancake, and they got 2 in. I did take the time to assure them that we do not take lightly. You know, that Nipissing is the main supplier of maple syrup for the Powassan Maple Syrup Festival. And without our maple syrup, there would be no festival. So that always brings a salute from the mayor of Powassan. And but we got it done as we usually do, and it was neat. It was the guy from 90.5 was the running it there. And he said, wow, I didn't know that, you know, and I thought, good for you, now you do, you know. So when you have your commercial, it says, you know, you're a, 90.5 person when you drink syrup from the bottle, you know, you must be from Powassan. I'm thinking, but it was Nipissing syrup they were drinking. So we got it cleared up, and it worked relatively well. So otherwise, I had 2 meetings, and quickly, East Home Board, there's been a number of funding announcements, but the interesting one is there's no longer funding for screeners. And as per the provincial guidelines, COVID restrictions are over. So no more COVID. Staffing, recruitment and retention. They reached the March target of 3.42 hours. They have more temporary foreign workers getting here this week. They're still attempting to get a nurse practitioner. And the other thing is when they go to 4 and 4.5 hours, we're going to need almost 50 more employees than we have now at the rate they're working, or we're going to have to get another 16 temporary foreign workers. So, and the problem with the temporary foreign workers, good workers, but where do they live? There is no place that, for them to stay. And so right now they're at the Clark House and at Meadowview. Community support services, when they were talking about when Scott was talking about Serenity Hospice, community support services for our area does some of that. They have Meals on Wheels. They had to bring the freezers from Sunridge to Powassan because the Sunridge people can't do it anymore. But then they drive, a lady from Sunridge comes up and gets the meals and takes them back to Sunridge, where the freezers used to be there, but they have to be accessible, like it has to be wheelchair accessible. It has to have a backup generator. So not everybody's house is like that. I know, well, I guess ours in Powassan is, but so that's, they had to move. Berks Falls, they went from the pharmacy to the health center, and they do have seniors luncheons, and they've been added in Kearney and Sprucedale. And they have Stay on Your Feet classes offered, and Leslie Price and her staff, that's what they run, this community support services. Capital work, there's new flooring at the main entrance was started, and then the company that had it, their 2 employees quit. So it stopped until they can train 2 more employees, and then they can go and do it again. So everybody seems to have a hard time finding people. And with the construction, the paid, and every time I say this, paid progress draw 10, people think, we're getting tickets for something, but that's what they call it. That's the draw is, that's how much money we have to draw to pay the bill at Vanos Construction. And this month was $73,742. But the good news is the HVAC systems that were expected last September are in the country. They're being painted and they could be here in the next couple of weeks. So now we have to do scheduling installation work because 1 month ago, the government came out with updated the rule that in a senior's home, the temperature cannot go above 22 degrees Celsius. Okay, and if it does, and it's inspected, there's a $25,000 fine levied immediately, and it goes through the operator of the home and whatever, which would be us. So now they have to get it so that this will back up this section, which will back up this section. So they couldn't just take it all offline, put the 2 big ones in. They have to rearrange everything. And the next building meeting is Thursday, and installation should get moving within the week. So it'll be an interesting time at East Home. And then the other thing for anybody that lives on lakes, tributaries, John Paul, Dave, and I, for sure, on Monday, we had our readings, and then Tuesday we had a meeting. That's for Sturgeon Nipissing French River. Monday it was, and it's all in metric, it was 195.79. Tuesday it was 195.86, so 7 centimeters, so almost 3 inches. I have to measure it in inches. The rainfall amounts, and Shining Tree is out of our area, but when you look at the graph, it included the north end of the Sturgeon. They got 82 millimeters of rain on the weekend. South River in the south had the least at 36. Temagami was in at 59. Tomaco at 56, and North Bay got 53. And all the water bodies on the Sturgeon are at or above summer levels. So there isn't a lot of storage left, hence water comes to Nipissing. And the build rate is approximately, and again, you say, well, what's the build rate? How fast is the lake gonna build? Their answer is, how much is gonna rain? So, but they're saying on average, 5 centimeters or 2 inches a day till probably the weekend, and then they hope that it will get better on the weekend, but as I said to Dave, there's no significant winds. Because again, the wind on a small lake, it's nothing, but if you're on Nipissing and, you know, it's blowing a 3-foot wave on high water, now you're up 4 feet. So it makes a big difference. And the interesting thing they pointed out, we're 14 centimeters from flood level. When they discuss floods, and right now there are a ton of flood warnings out. There's flood outlook, which is, it might be a flood, then it's flood watch, then there's a flood warning, then there's a flood. So that's how they look at them. And the city of North Bay came on. They're never on, but they come on now because North Bay warned that at 196.35, so we're at 195.86. At 3.5, there will be a purge of sewage at low-lying sites. And they have the ministry approval to do this. And that just means it's usually Lavaz is the first one, and Pinewood, not Pinewood, West Ferris, because that's the lowest lying part of North Bay. And the purge is they can't store the sewage, so it just goes straight into the lake. So an interesting thing for the North Bay Meadow Conservation Authority. So she just points that out, and it's just trying to tell the ministry and the people that are working on the dams better let more water out so this doesn't happen.
Because
And-
isn't Amelia in that? That's where
Yeah.
that's low there.
Mhm. Yep, anything from almost from the overpass to the south. And as we say this, I can hear the rain thumping down again. It's interesting, all that water they got in Temagami, it takes in total, I thought it was 50, it's 56 hours to get from Temagami to here. It takes 8 hours to Red Cedar Lake and then to Crystal Falls, which is by Sturgeon, another 48 hours. So what they got in the weekend, we'll get, shortly. Now, the good news is, if there was any, when local inflow slowed down, then outflow at the dams will increase. But they're holding now because they're at flood, the lower French is already, they're flooding already. And we heard about roads in West Nipissing and the Wellville area that are already underwater. And so right now we need to prepare for possible flooding and hope for warm, dry weather. And in the meantime, we have another meeting next Monday, but hey, you just basically sit and wait and see what happens. So we will see. And it was interesting, the last year that there was a flood and a purge, after that flood and purge, there was an east wind for about 4 days. And for the first time in history, there was blue-green algae in Simpsons Bay and Meadow Bay, and nobody lives there. So how did it happen?
Yeah.
They have no idea. I've got a theory. But anyway, that's what we've got from that. So let's just hope it doesn't get to that level. And otherwise, that's my report. So if there are no questions, let's move on to adopt the minutes. So I need a mover and seconder, Councillor Liam and Councillor Kirky. It's number R, 2023-108, moved by Councillor Liam, seconded by Councillor Kirky, that the minutes of the council meeting held April 18th, 2023 be adopted as published. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Move on to number 5, surface treatment tender award. I need a mover and a seconder. Okay, Counselor Foot and Counselor Butler. This is R 2023-109, moved by Counselor Foot, seconded by Counselor Butler, that we award tender Nipissing Public Works 2023 5 double surface treatment and reseal of Birch Grove Phase 3 to Duncor Enterprises. Total tender price $176,634.70, including applicable taxes. And you'll notice Duncor was the lowest. All in favor? Carried. The next one is I crush and apply quarry gravel, quarry granite to Birch Grove. I need a mover and a seconder. Okay, Councilor Yam and Councilor Kirky. R 2023-110, moved by Councilor Yam, seconded by Councilor Kirky, that we award Nipissing Public Works 2023-6 supply, crush and apply approximately 3,500 ton of 7/8 crushed quarry granite to Birch Grove Drive to Evan Hughes Excavating. Total tender price $70,992.25, including applicable taxes. All in favor? Carried. And again, you've all seen these, and we've gone with the lowest tender in every case. So again, I need a mover and a seconder. Okay, moving along, Councilor Butler, Councilor Foot. It's number R 2023-111, moved by Councilor Butler, seconded by Councilor Foot, that we award tender Nipissing Public Works 2023-7 approximately 3,500 ton of quarry B granite to be picked up by the municipality to Evan Hughes Excavating. Total tender price $48,448.75, including applicable taxes. All in favor? Carried.
I have a question. Are we gonna be able to handle hauling? That's 300 loads.
Yeah, that's what we've been doing the past couple of years. Yeah, I usually bring one triaxle on board.
Okay, because the next one's 250 loads.
Yeah, no, that's what we.
Well, okay.
Next one is the 3,000 ton of crushed quarry granite. Mover into seconder. Okay, Councilor Yam and Councilor Butler. It's number R 2023-112, moved by Councilor Yam, seconded by Councilor Butler, that we award tender to Nipissing Public Works 2023-8, approximately 3,000 tons of crushed quarry granite to be picked up by the municipality to Evan Hughes Excavating. Total tender price $41,527.50, including applicable taxes. And again, the lowest price. All in favor? Carried. And, okay, the next one comes from correspondence, the last Magwin Highlands Secondary School graduation awards. It was suggested that we give them, donate $100. So mover and seconder. Thank you, Councilor Kirky and Councilor Buck. It's number R 2023-113, moved by Councilor Kirky, seconded by Councilor Butler, that we donate $100 to the Magna Highlands Secondary School Graduation Awards Program for 2023. All in favor? Carried. And next, okay, yes, Counselor Foot, thank you. Traditionally, we would have to do this on certain statutory holidays for South Shore Store and Foots. So we're doing a one for all here. And so rather than have this come up, so Counselor Yim and Counselor Butler. It's number R 2023-14, moved by Counselor Yam, seconded by Counselor Butler. Whereas the Retail Business Holidays Act requires retail businesses to be closed on the following holidays: Victoria Day, Canada Day, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, Good Friday, Easter Sunday, Christmas Day, and New Year's Day. And whereas Family Day is also considered a statutory holiday, and whereas operators may wish to remain open, and the Township of Nipissing does not have business licensing requirements nor any objection to operation of small businesses during statutory holidays. Now therefore, the Township of Nipissing approves the operation of retail businesses, including the operation of LCBO outlets within the boundaries of the township on statutory holidays. All in favor? Carried. And on Joe, this is the resolution from, I think it was, right, Northern Ontario municipalities regarding bail reform. And this came from our last correspondence. So I need a mover and a seconder, and again, I will read it. That's the rules. So it's number R 2023-15, 115, pardon me, moved by Counselor Butler, seconded by Counselor Kirky. Okay, whereas the cost of policing and emergency services affects northern rural communities' ability to support local social and health issues, and whereas there are several instances of criminal offenders, those suffering from addiction and or those suffering from mental illness with a direct correlation to the commission of criminal acts where they are not being housed in the correct corrections system. Therefore, remaining in communities where they are not able to receive necessary treatment for the addiction or mental health issues. And whereas in some instances, these individuals may become violent, but are being released back into the community, creating a danger in the community. And whereas the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities, FNUM, has requested municipal support in their appeal to the federal government for legislative changes on bail reform, specifically, 1, create a designation of a chronic persistent offender. 2, allow community impact statements at bail hearings. 3, creating reverse onus in the bail systems for all firearms offenses. And 4, all bail-related firearms offenses should be heard before the Superior Court for bail release. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Nipissing support FNUM's appeal for bail reform, and that a copy of this resolution be sent to FNUM, MP Anthony Rhoda, MPP Victor Fidelli, and the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Code of conduct. We looked at that at the last meeting. And the only thing that we've changed is basically it was CAO, which becomes administrative, whatever. We go back we've upgraded that, and those were the only things. Otherwise, the conduct, respect and confidential information, everything stays the same. We've just upgraded the language and the names of the parties. So there's no changes from the last time other than those. So I need a mover and a seconder. Counselor Cameron, Counselor Foot. Now, if when you put your hand up, you have a question, say, no, I'm not seconding, I have a question. But in the meantime, I'll put down Counselor Yam and Counselor Foot. It's number R 2023-16, moved by Counselor Yam, seconded by Counselor Foot, that we pass bylaw number 2023-28, being a bylaw to adopt a code of conduct for the members of council in Township of Nipissing, read a first, second, and third time and pass this second day of May 2023. All in favor? Carried. And is there anything else to sign there? Oh, yeah, I missed that one. Thanks. Great job. The next one, I think you've all seen this as well, being a bylaw to adopt municipal position description for the museum staff positions for the Township of Nipissing. And I need a move, yes, question
Nope.
or mover? Okay, mover and seconder. I'm gonna get Counselor Kirky and Counselor Yem, because that's their committee. And I'll read it. It's number R 2023-117. Moved by Counselor Kirky, seconded by Counselor Yem, that we pass bylaw number 2023-29, being a bylaw to adopt a municipal position description for the museum staff positions for the Township of Nipissing, read a first, second, and third time and pass the second day of May 2023. All in favor? Carried. I'm not putting it in here, you find it this time. Okay, the next one. Okay. Right. So this is a staff report. Counselor Kirky and I are very familiar with this, and this is something that the last council adopted, that you could have trailers on rural, where the rural designation is. And that has passed. We passed that. We just have to put it into bylaw. What we didn't pass was the shoreline or the LSR, and that's in court as we speak. So this part goes through, and it did originally, but then we put it in with the other two. So now we have to support this again. And the other two, we wait and see what happens. And I think it's July that we will know, 5th and 6th, I think of July.
Yeah,
June.
June?
June.
Okay, great, a month earlier. And the other thing though, because we're, this is good to go, but because we're looking at the other, that 2023 will just be a education period. We're not going out and finding people and towing them off and doing anything like that. So if there's anything, any questions anybody has, if I can't answer, or Steve can't, Chris can. Are there any questions? We flogged this horse off a lot. And anyway, so we will move. So this is the licensed trailers, and this is in rural designation only. So I need a mover and, yes, Will.
Sorry, it is July 6th and 7th.
Okay.
Sorry,
There was a change.
Some days, even a
sorry,
blind
just
pig finds
so
an
everybody's on the
acorn.
same page.
Okay, thank you. So I need a mover and seconder. Okay, Counselor Foot and Counselor Kirky. It's number R 2023-118, moved by Counselor Foot, seconded by Counselor Kirky, that we pass bylaw number 2023-30, being a bylaw to license trailers for the township of Nipissing for the first, second, and third time, and pass this second day of May 2023. All in favor? Carried. Ooh. Correspondence. Pretty light. It was the golf. It's 25th annual Near North Crime Stoppers Golf Tournament. Now, if you're looking at the costs, it is cheaper to go to trivia night, okay? It goes from 500 down to whatever. And if you notice, we did support, what was it?
Not Canada.
Mad Canada, because I thought we'd already given these guys some money, so I was, cut them off, but we haven't given any money to the Near North Crime Stoppers. If you want to put in a team, I can do that later, but you don't want me on it. But I would suggest that the lesser of these evils would be the cash donation of $100 that we do for everybody else, if council agrees to that. We're good with that? Okay, that'll go on to the next correspondence. And I know Kristen and Chris won't let us forget. So that was the only correspondence that we received this week. So that was great. So mover and seconder, Counselor Yam and Counselor Butler. It's number R 2023-119, moved by Counselor Yam, seconded by Counselor Butler, that we accept the correspondence as presented. All in favor? Carried. Just got, weeping only because we're getting near the end of the meeting, or my allergies are just raising, whatever. Statements of accounts. I need a mover and seconder. Okay, it's pretty light tonight. Counselor Foot and Counselor Kirky. And are there any questions? 35,000. Good. So it's number 2023-120. Moved by Counselor Foot, seconded by Counselor Kirky, that the statement of accounts dated April 25th and May 1st, 2023, totaling $35,736.67 be approved. All in favor? Carried. Okay, confirming bylaw. I need a mover and seconder, Counselor Yam and Counselor Butler. It's number R 2023-121. Moved by Counselor Yam, seconded by Counselor Butler. We pass bylaw number 2023-31, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on May 2nd, 2023. Read the first, second, and third time and passed this second day of May 2023. All in favor? Carried. And last but not least, And we will put the closed session on the next council meeting, so it won't be as quick. So this one, we need a mover and seconder, okay? Counselor Butler, Counselor Kirky. Number R 2023-122. Moved by Counselor Butler, seconded by Counselor Kirky, that the meeting be adjourned at 7:35 PM. Next regular meeting will be held May 16th, 2023. All in favor? Carried.